All right, so Foley, you got what we need for the crust? Foley, would you make, what do you think? 6 eggs, 3 cups be enough custard? So free mushroom tart is a lot like a dark quiche. All right, so it's basically your mushroom and seasoning elements bound together by a custard, which is 2 eggs to 1 cup heavy cream. When that bakes, it sets up, holds it all suspended, and then deliciousness happens. Now you're cutting butter. You can literally just press straight through.
Right.
Okay.
So you don't want to rock the knife.
Don't ever rock the knife.
Okay.
No. Yeah, really get your hands in there. Squeeze the fat, that's the butter and the lard, between your fingers even.
But still breaking it down.
You're breaking it down by like squeezing it, almost like Play-Doh. When you squeeze it, it comes out between your fingers.
It's almost like chemistry here. I'm
it's totally
emulsifying
chemistry,
it,
yeah.
like I'm bonding these elements together with my hands.
Yep. And we haven't even added the water yet.
And this is a very kind of sensual, because these feelings are pretty. This is part of probably his joy of cooking, you know.
Cooking is the most sensual thing you can do. You're putting something into other people's body that you've worked with your hands.
Hence the pressure.
You know, and the pleasure of eating it itself, and the satiation of eating it. I mean, these are all. We're in the entertainment business here too.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole experience, you know, from the ambiance, the wine, the service, the personality of the servers. When I come out and greet the guests, all these things. You know, it's romantic. That's why 90% of our reservations, you know, are anniversaries, birthdays. You know, you can go anywhere, you know, and get a meal, okay? But having the expression and the passion of the chef come through and what's being eaten, that's something special.
Well, that separates you from every other art form, because the person, the customer, is ingesting the art, and that to me is a lot more pressure than a painting.
Yeah.
Because they're taking it home with them and they're going to sleep with it.
Exactly. Eating isn't just about taste; it's about texture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's why I love tortilla chips.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, I love that crunch.
But how many different ways do they use tortilla flour?
Right.
You know, sometimes it's crunchy, sometimes it's soft, sometimes it's both. Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a chip, sometimes it's a whole taco. Right.
Well, the taco is, talk about texture. I mean, that going from the crunch into the softness of the meat is one a great experience.
That's part of what's important about this dish, is that crispy, but flaky pie crust with a little bit of dryness against the moisture of the mushroom in the sauce, all coming together on the palate at the same time with the aromatic of the mushroom, touch of rosemary. That dance is what makes a good dish.
It's important to do it judiciously and have it be balanced, so that one side doesn't get more water than the other side. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like judicious. And how much you want me? Then I stir and then I do the water again. Yes.
And don't be afraid to actually turn the bowl too.
Chef Chris is saying is I want to give it also that confidence and that attack a little bit with the food, like I am in charge.
Now let's stop. So remember, we don't want to overwork it.
Okay. This is a nice element too.
Yeah.
I'm creating the earth.
Get the remaining stuff in there. Just press it together. Now at this point, you want to be careful not to overwork it.
See, I got to be gentle now.
Right.
Now we slow down.
More firm pressure, pushing out any air pockets rather than squeezing and kneading.
Everything is now coalescing. Now,
Slow
Chef
down.
Pauly, just go boom.
Yeah.
See that speed and confidence?
Yeah, I
He was
love
doing
that.
2 things at exactly the same time. He was pressing and turning. Why don't you give that a
So
try?
it was like,
Not too hard, not too hard.
Okay, so
And
now-
now that it's spread out a little bit, you're gonna have more fat touching the table. Flip it over. And before you do that, actually, I'll pick it up real quick. There you go, spread the flour around, exactly.
but not too hard.
Right.
The concept is what? Here, we're just trying to get it all.
We're getting it
To be
flattened
one.
enough that we can start using the rolling pin.
So when it starts to go in a funky shape, you can, before it gets too thin, you can still...
See those pockets of fat?
Yeah, those
That's
are-
what we want right
Those
there.
are beautiful.
Now, remember spreading out again. Hold up, flip it, spread some flour around. Now, there you go.
Sort of like a pizza.
A little bit.
And this is to do it very gently. Now, second fold is,
Yeah, you can choose not to do that second fold. I just find it's a little easier to move.
I thought it looked good. Now, is that where we're at, or is there yet another fold?
Nope, just that.
Okay, now, this
folding it simply makes it easier to lift it all up
Yeah.
and get it into the pan. And because we've got so much extra dough, it doesn't have to be super precise. Right, before you press it in, if you press it in, you'll stretch it out.
Okay, so
Okay, so what you'll do is you lift it up,
right.
and then you'll feel it hit the pan underneath.
Beautiful.
All right.
Does that feel good to you, Chef Christopher?
Yeah, we're good.
Good.
What you're basically doing is you're trimming off all the excess.
Okay.
And you can apply about, do you feel that? About
Yeah.
that much pressure. Just enough to cut and to keep it nice and clean. That's it.
Turn
Yeah.
the pan?
If it's more convenient for you, sure. And at this point, this excess,
Yeah.
see what I did right here? I just pulled it apart, just push it aside.
Let it go.
Just get it out of your way. Exactly. All right, so onto the filling part. Simple set of ingredients, simple preparation, but what happens in the pan can be fairly complex. We've got four different things that you're going to be chopping here. But the basic fundamental is the same all around. Keep your fingers like a claw. We're not going for a perfect dice. We're not trying to impress a culinary school teacher. We're looking to basically just chop this up as much as we can. All the curled in fingers. And see how even when I'm kind of just pushing it in together to group it up, I'm keeping my fingers curled?
Just always whenever you're around the knife, you keep the fingers curled.
A lot more. I'm going to start really giving you a hard time about that.
understand.
Curled your fingers.
Right, like that.
There you go.
Like-
Yes,
like playing
aggressively.
piano.
Yes. Using your knuckles to guide the knife
They're connected.
gives you speed and safety.
So this is I'm way out of the danger zone.
Right. Right.
By
You go.
doing that.
By doing that, exactly. Your grip is a little better than it was before. I saw your thumb up here like this, okay? By putting one finger up in front of the hilt like that,
Right.
okay, and your thumb here, okay, obviously not too far down, your pointer finger further up, you're gonna get nice control of the blade. You're gonna be able to actually feel the cutting board with the tip of your finger.
Like this.
Yep. Or even straight, I'll kind of brace my finger against my middle finger by scooching your whole hand up on the knife. There you go. You really want to control that blade, okay?
So am I in control?
Does it feel like you're in control?
I think so.
All right. At this point now, you can more accurately control the angle, the speed, the pressure, etc. And your hands are a little closer together versus back here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we're good.
For these two mushrooms. Now we got
Yeah.
these to do.
Oh, okay. Right.
Do we want to bang through all these first, or do we want to go through each one of them a little bit first?
No, let me bang through those so I get, because I'm already in the zone on that.
I'm going to be on you like stink on shit though for the first few mushrooms, making sure you're doing this right.
Doesn't matter which direction I go in with the blade. Or do you want me to be consistent with that, or is it okay?
Yeah,
if
you
I'm
do
like-
fall into a rhythm.
So I gotta
Okay.
start.
I tend to always slice away. See, I can look up at you and have a conversation
Yeah.
while I'm doing
And
this
you're not in
because I
any
got the
danger.
claw and I know exactly what's going on. No danger, exactly.
Well, that says chef to me.
You start building a muscle memory
Yeah.
just by repetition.
So I know I've got my claw. I can look at the camera, and I can still slice.
All right, so
Good.
first thing we're gonna chop this up. All these, we're gonna chop up exactly the same way.
Right.
All right,
How's the
slight. Here, it's not as much of an issue because it's such a large chunk that you're only slicing once. You can actually move your fingers into the groove so you can maintain more positive control. Boom. Turn it. Do it again. Now put the knife down. Pull that fucker out of there.
Just like this.
Yeah, dig your thumb in there. Pull it out.
I can just do it like I would do it at home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're just chopping this up. That's all we're doing.
All right.
And again, this is not super pretty dice.
Or you can drop it a little bit.
Exactly. Our job is making people happy. I'm in the business of making people
Right.
physically feel good and be happy.
Right.
And that's awesome. But we can't please everybody.
Right.
You know. And
That's right. Well, I deal with it too, the critics. So why we're doing it is, we love it.
Mhm. Well, and
It's life.
we like making other people happy with our art.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we're good.
The can I just use my hands? Is that all
Totally.
right?
Yep. Now the onion, I'm going to do one alongside you. We're going to slice off the ugly ends. There you go. Do the other end.
Keep the finger there,
Just to get it started.
and then let it go.
Now what I can do is, again, claw, starting at the end. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Is
slice. Now this is getting a little slippery.
Here's a trick for when it gets real thin like that.
Yeah.
Grasp it on both sides and just cut down the center. Like here, let me
Go in here.
Let me do one with you.
Yeah.
Just grab, see like this.
Yeah.
Keeping my fingers nice
Yeah.
and.
I get it.
Your pointer fingers are getting pretty good with the claw. Your thumb is still having a bit of a tendency to slip.
Yeah, I think the issue is I'm I gotta stay perpendicular.
What we're doing right now is we're making the duxelle, so we're gonna melt a little butter in there. So we're gonna melt the butter. We're gonna add the bell pepper and the onion.
Okay.
And we're not gonna brown it. We're just gonna give it a light saute. We're gonna sweat it, basically. So it just starts to become translucent. Now, there are varying schools of thought of how and when to salt. So the reason I bring it up is because we are gonna add a little salt to this right now. Part of what it's doing is it's pulling the moisture out, which will allow it to evaporate off a little faster.
So how long do you want me to do this?
We're gonna look at it and that'll tell us.
And then what are you looking for?
See how, you can stop stirring for a second. Give it a little shake to spread it around. There you go. Good shake. Some of it's becoming a little translucent versus that's still white.
Right.
You want them all to be about that level right there.
Wow. The attention to detail takes something amazing, right?
So we're at about where we need to be.
Now off.
I just killed the heat for safety, but yeah. Go ahead and grab the mushrooms.
Dump them in.
Dump them in.
The whole shebang.
Yep. You can either scrape the inside of it, or what I do is
Okay. And then just keep going.
yeah, I'll only get the heat back up.
Keep sliding it evenly.
Right. I'm gonna give it a little bit of water,
Yeah. It looks kind of dry.
but it's not. Remember, mushrooms are 90% water.
Right.
So we're adding the water so it doesn't stick, and we're starting a little bit of steam. That steam will warm the rest of the mushrooms, which will then allow them to release their moisture.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
That's where the chemistry comes in.
Now you'll start to see the moisture actually starting to build up. I'm gonna turn the heat up a little bit.
Yeah.
You let it chill here for a second. This is the phase where I start adding all the seasoning and such. Okay.
So just let it be.
Right. See, with this dish, we use a lot of powdered things like the cayenne. So I'm just going to give it a little sprinkle here.
Do you want me to stop moving it? You want me to let it be?
It doesn't need to be stirred as aggressively now that it's started releasing its moisture. You'll revisit it every minute or so. We'll check on it, make sure there's no sticking going on.
And how long is this process?
For this particular volume, I think it'll be done within 15 minutes.
15.
Yeah.
And that is when I go and I make my herbs and I come back and check it. Don't forget about it. It's all timing.
Bingo. I'm going to be a little more aggressive with the heat now.
Yeah, but the water is going to be gone.
Just about. Yep.
And that's what we mean by reduction.
Exactly. So if you scrape away all the mushroom, if you try to push it all away from the center,
Yeah.
okay, see how it's pooling?
Yeah.
All right.
We need it hotter.
What you want to do is, hotter or more time,
Right.
what you want to do is get it so that when you're pushing that away, there's no more water pooling.
Right.
In about 5 to 10 minutes, you'll see the liquid seep in and pool. That means you're getting closer and closer to the point where when it's no longer pooling, you're done. And you'll also be simultaneously reducing the heat because now you've got less water in there, less buffer against all that heat.
There's a form to it. Move it out.
There's an elegance to it.
An
you know.
elegance. And then bring it back in. And there's a concept to the motions. It's thought through so we don't let it burn. you
Right.
know?
It's not random. You're
There's a-
focusing on making sure nothing burns,
Yeah.
that the food is being evenly distributed while simultaneously, mixing in all the herbs and things that you've already put in here.
Yeah.
Scrape that center. See, is anything sticking? Is it pooling? You know what you can also do to check for the pooling?
Yeah.
Just tilt your pan down. Well, still got a lot of pooling going on. Give it a shake. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That'll distribute it a little more.
When you're in the zone and you're making a beautiful dish, where's your mind? Are you almost in a trance? Are you kind of multitasking and talking about a million different things, or are you
My
in like a
AD
meditation almost?
My ADD allows me to hyper focus on what I'm doing
Yeah,
and let my mind be on the other 4 things on the stove at the same time.
I see.
And what's in the oven.
Right.
And on the phone ringing.
Right,
And on the
right.
wine being delivered. You're almost there.
Yeah.
I just dropped the heat again, so I wouldn't sweat the danger. But what I would do is tilt that pan and hold it there.
There's no sweat. I mean, there's no.
Hold on. Flatten it out again. Push back.
Push back.
Yep. Push it all together.
back here, and then do it
When you're pushing things together, you're more going to want to use that motion
like
instead
a
of
paintbrush.
exactly. But now lift up the pan from the heat and tilt it, not too much, so you don't want that to slide, but
Yeah.
you want the water underneath it to start dribbling out.
Yeah.
And
I don't see it.
let's give it a minute because it still needs to come down
Right.
and then down. Maybe a little less of a tilt so the duxelle's not sliding. We're about there. I think we're pretty much ready to go at this point. So we'll kill the heat, pull it off. When we do it in the cast iron, we'll actually do this number here. If it still needs to reduce, if it still needs more time, you'll start seeing the water creeping in and forming a puddle while simultaneously sizzling off. But if it's already ready to go and it's reduced enough, it'll look pretty much like that.
I'm actually getting kind of excited, like this is a work of art that we're creating here.
Are you building an appetite, I hope?
It is making me a little bit hungry.
All right. So pre-scrambled the eggs, just kind of warming up the cream a little bit for better light and everything. Basically what we're going to do now is, you'll probably have a better set piece than that. Put all the mushroom duxelle into here, and then we're going to add some custard, stir, add some custard, stir, until we get the right ratio.
So go.
Go, yeah, go ahead. So you can use that spoon to
Yeah.
stir it, but what I would do is add about half a cup at a time into here.
So, okay, so half a cup.
Now it's obviously way less than what we need, but we're just going to do a little bit at a time to make sure that we don't add too much custard.
Okay, now stir.
Fold, get the stuff at the bottom too. Let's do another whole cup.
Whole cup.
I'm eyeballing this because, like
No,
I
I
said,
hear
we
you.
usually do
It's
this
all-
with larger batches.
Yeah,
Or
right.
start with a half, add
Half
a little
cup.
more, you get the idea. We're just doing a little bit at a time so that, if you're too aggressive with adding, you fuck it up.
Right. What am I looking for in here?
As much the ratio of custard to duxelle as you are the resistance. How hard is it to stir? How loose is it?
What am I going to get by stirring it? Is it going to thicken?
You don't need to stir it anymore. Basically, you're just making sure that it's fully integrated. There's not a pocket of duxelle down here that you missed.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because the custard is what binds it all together.
Right. But it's not like making a butter whereby the more I churn it, it's going to thicken. This is not going to do
Correct,
that.
correct. Maybe another quarter cup and it's ready to bake.
So what happens is a quarter cup. Is that about right?
Yeah. So at this point, we pour it into the pie crust.
So, oh, look at that. And that, now when I pour this, center's good?
Yeah,
Just let it go.
yeah, and you're at the right height so it doesn't splash everywhere. This is a reconstituted dried mushroom.
Right.
So it's going to have some really soft spots. Yeah, scrape off the onion.
So just do it right here?
Yeah,
Oh,
just
I-
carefully with your finger.
Okay, so,
There you go.
yeah.
It's going to have some really soft, mushy spots, but it might have some really hard spots. Just be careful. And it can be ugly.
I can just chop it.
Yeah, start with a slice, turn it, chop it, keep your fingers clear.
Go
Go ahead
here.
and pop all of that straight into the pan.
Just go?
Go ahead and pop that in.
Do you want me to separate it, or is it okay?
Well, I'm going to add a few other things to it real
Okay.
quick, and then we'll stir it all together.
Right.
Add them all, stir all at once. Taste, adjust, repeat.
What do you want me to stir it with? That?
Maybe this, so we're not tearing up the crust underneath.
So just now separate it?
Exactly.
Make it even and everyone
Right.
gets the same amount.
Yeah, normally the dried mushroom we just added, those herbs and spices, we would do in the pan over here.
Okay.
Remember, you're going to use the fresh herbs.
Right.
While it's reducing, you're going to be chopping the herbs up,
Right.
putting them in as you're finishing the chopping.
Right.
See how that's multitasking?
Yes.
Being efficient with your time?
Right.
You want to give this a taste?
Can I use this, or what do you want me to use?
As long as you don't use it again to stir.
Okay, so,
Just a little bit. You're just trying to gauge the salt level.
oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Wow. I'm getting kind of emotional. I'm getting a little verklempt over here.
And you made it.
Wow.
Tell you what we ought to do is after we bake it and finish it, we'll chill it up overnight. We'll mail you the rest.
I would love that. Yeah, that's. Wow. That's great. Thanks, Chef.
My pleasure. Let's get this in the oven. So that's what it looks like after it's baked.
beautiful.
You smell it?
It's
Not a lot there right now
but
because it's.
yeah, but look at the gradation. It's like stone almost.